Hi, my name's Rachel, and I'm going to talk to you about New York turtle conservation. So, I'm native from Hudson Valley, New York, and I always really admired the turtles growing up. So, let's get started. So, you see here two awesome species of turtles. I bet people are very familiar with the species on the left. They'll probably say that's a sea turtle. And then the one on the right is probably just a turtle. They don't really know much about them. That one there is a wood turtle, super cute. And we know sea turtles are known as a flagship species. Flagship species are selected to act as an ambassador, an icon, symbol for a defined habitat, issue, campaign, or environmental cause. They're generally large and charismatic in Western culture. But they're also an indicator species, sea turtles. And that basically means they assess the health of the environment. And our friend the wood turtle is a neglected species. That basically means they're not selected to be a conservation icon, but they are in need of conservation because, as you see, they are also an indicator species. So next, what I'm going to do is just take you through a little tour of all the turtles of New York. This is the loggerhead sea turtle. It is vulnerable, and they pretty much live around like the Long Island-ish region in New York. This is a green sea turtle, endangered, also live in the same area. The Atlantic hawksbill is critically endangered and lives in the same area. Kemp's ridley, critically endangered. They kind of look like the olive ridley turtle, but they're genetically different. They're also known as the Atlantic ridley. This is the leatherback and also critically endangered. So that's all the sea turtles for New York, but these are all the different species of land turtle in New York. And now I'm going to take you through a little picture show of them as well. This is the common snapping turtle, and it's actually the New York State reptile. If you don't know your reptile, check it out because each state got one. This is the common musk turtle, the common map turtle, the eastern painted turtle, Midland painted turtle, spiny softshell, northern diamondback terrapin, eastern mud turtle, Blanding's turtle, which is threatened. The wood turtle is endangered. The eastern box turtle is endangered. The spotted turtle is endangered. The bog turtle is endangered. And the red-eared slider is invasive. We'll talk about him in a little bit. So, turtles are important. Like I said before, they are an indicator species. They assess the health of environments. Due to their long lifespan and relatively low mobility, they are sensitive to environmental changes and pollution. Their presence or absence in certain areas can indicate the overall health of an ecosystem and serve as a warning sign for potential environmental issues. Turtles function at an intersection of food webs by serving as prey for a variety of wildlife and operating as predators themselves. Turtles are important in aiding the regulation of water quality for freshwater ecosystems by scavenging, decaying, and dead organic material. Some turtles are ecosystem engineers, helping to create habitats for smaller creatures as a result of the burrows they create. Turtles also help plants thrive by stirring up the soil and facilitating the cycling of nutrients from the forest floor to the various water bodies and vice versa. They assist in growing plant communities by consuming fruits and flowers and distributing their seeds via their feces. Isn't that kind of cool? So what is causing their decline? For them, one of a big issue is habitat loss and fragmentation. When the natural places they are adapted to become fragmented by development, degraded by pollution, or disappear entirely, turtles don't have anywhere to go. If habitat loss happens across a species range, it may lead to extinction. And for these little land turtles, they don't live in a very big radius. Some turtles just live in like 2 football fields, and that's home. Sometimes it's only a few acres, but that's what they know, and they know it very well. They also are troubled by illegal wildlife trade. You always want to know where your turtle came before you consider buying one. I am also not a big proponent of buying any turtle. I would say you should rescue a turtle in need because rescues are overflowing with amazing turtles who do need homes. And then just for a fun fact, turtles less than 4 inches cannot be sold or distributed in the United States. Poaching. Help keep wildlife wild. Don't remove the turtles from their natural environment. If you remove turtles from their environment, it can harm the turtles themselves and other wildlife and plants by undermining the balance of the complex natural communities. Roads and collisions. Vehicles pose a significant threat to slow-moving turtles as they cross roads, especially during the springtime when turtles are looking for new territory, mating opportunities, or nesting. And then invasive species. So we're going to talk about them right now. This is the invasive red-eared slider. And you see in the picture, there's 3 of them on top of each other. That's quite common, all right? They are the most popular turtle in the American pet trade. What does that have to do with anything? Why are they everywhere? Well, what happens is they get abandoned as a pet. So instead of someone putting it down and going to their vet saying, well, we don't want it, they just bring it out and put it in the wild because, they're a wild turtle. They'll do well. And in fact, they do really well. Red-eared sliders are highly adaptable to new environments, including cold climates. They are, in fact, from the Gulf of Mexico, and now they are spread out worldwide and on one of the worldwide invasive species lists. They grow fast and larger compared to other native turtles, can eat just about any plant or animal they can get their beaks around, and sometimes they are aggressive to the other turtles. So what this does to the normal native turtles, it crowds them out, and it can create harmful algal blooms, and they have competition for food and space to bask in the sun. And also, many turtle rescues are no longer able to accept unwanted red-eared sliders for rescue or adoption. They've received many thousands of slider turtles, but there is not simply enough resources or space to accommodate them. So they are just crushing our natural populations, and it is very sad to watch. In New York City, the Central Pond is overflowing with these guys, and about maybe 15 years ago, it wasn't. So that is something people did, and people need to do something to fix that. Road safety and turtles. Very important. Never straddle a turtle with your car. I know what you're thinking. Oh, they're small. I can do it. But if you hit a big turtle or a turtle that has a large shell and the bottom of your car skims the top of their shell, you can actually pretty much break right into their lung and then they'll die. So please don't do that. If you ever hit a turtle, try to bring it in for medical care because each one of their lives is very important because they take years and years and years to get to maturation so they can reproduce and only make maybe 1 or 2 viable offspring that actually make it into adulthood. Never pick a turtle up by the tail. That is just rude. Don't do that. Try not to handle them as much as possible. So what I used to do was kind of just use a little stick and be like, go on, little turtle, go on. I don't want to touch it. It's scared of me. I don't want to make it that scared. So I'm just trying to encourage it to keep going on its way while protecting it from the oncoming traffic. But if you must pick it up, say it's just you're causing a whole lane pileup and it's all your fault, best idea would be pick it up from behind the shell, in the back of the shell above the legs. That way it can't bite you. And bring it in the same direction it was going. It was going that way on purpose. It knows its habitat. And what happened is the road got put in it and it fragmented its habitat. So it's going to where it needs to go. So make sure you bring it in that direction and don't just put it on the side of the road there because still makes it a risk to get hit. Take it at least 10 or 15 feet out into the woods, into that area, and then leave it there and let it go around its life. And this is most common to happen in late spring and early summer. And it's usually the females trying to lay in their nesting area or mate or anything like that. They know where they're going. So let them do their thing. And in the spring, it's common to see turtles crossing the road, looking for mates or nesting habitat. If it's safe, help them cross the way they're going. Turtle populations in the U.S. have uncommonly high proportions of males because so many female turtles are being killed on roadways. Like I said, turtles have a long lifespan and take a long time to reach sexual maturity and have a low survival rate when newly hatched. Because of these attributes, these turtles cannot compensate for the losses due to adult mortality without experiencing long-term consequences. With turtle populations requiring high levels of adult survival, every individual, especially the adult female, is important to a population's stability. This concern is even greater in recent years because many of the U.S. turtle populations are becoming fragmented, isolated, and progressively smaller. Illegal wildlife trade. Just look at that picture. Isn't that really sad? I feel terrible looking at that picture. So there is 54 known cases of legal trade in the U.S. occurring between 1998 and 2021 involving the illegal trade of at least 24,000 freshwater turtles of 34 different species. Trade occurred in at least 43 U.S. states, 6 countries, including Canada. Box turtles were the most commonly reported, followed by spotted turtles. And if you see on the side here, you can look at all the different U.S. enforcement cases with illegally collected turtles. And there's a lot, and that's only a few years. So, yeah, it's happening everywhere, and we got to try to do something about that. For example, in 2019, a Pennsylvania man was sentenced to 6 months in prison and fined $250,000 for trafficking thousands of protected diamondback terrapins. This is a pretty terrible picture, but it does have a happy ending of some sort. So over 1,500 native New York turtles were being trafficked to Asia, China specifically. In December 2018, a U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service investigation discovered at least 1,500 native turtles, including wood turtles, spotted turtles, and eastern box turtles, traveled more than 8,000 miles from the woods and wetlands of the U.S. to Asia. They were collected illegally from the wild for black market pet trade. The turtles were smuggled overseas in boxes falsely labeled as clothes and cosmetics to ensure they would slip past U.S. law enforcement and onto the plane. And during this, the turtles' appendages were duct taped into their shell, and they were covered in a sock material. We found out Kang Huto was implicated for being the leader of a turtle smuggling ring. Despite never ever coming into the U.S., he was extradited from his Chinese flight into Malaysia for a fun vacation straight to the U.S. Kang was convicted on October 6, 2021, to 38 months in prison and 1 year of supervised release on federal money laundering conviction for financing a ring of turtle smugglers. In another incident, Yu Chao Fong was found in Chicago O'Hare Airport trying to smuggle turtles into his luggage to China. After a search warrant was issued, they found child pornography on his devices. Fang received 2 separate 60-month sentences for exploiting children and wildlife. Special Agent Jared Edmond, who led the investigation of Fang, said, "People who are involved in illegal wildlife trade are often associated with other criminal activities as well, whether it's drugs, guns, or child exploitation. It's all connected." So how can you help? Be an informed pet owner. If you're going to get a pet turtle, I love turtles. Know that it's a commitment. They live to 50 to 80 years old, depending on what type of turtle. It could be even longer. They can grow up and be very big. So you have to know what you're getting into. And don't just go out and buy. Rescue. There's so many of these turtles that need homes. Be cautious of turtles when you're driving. I mean, it's great not to hit the turtles. I hate hitting a turtle. And if you do hit a turtle, make sure it receives medical care, whether it be at a rehab or a hospital. I feel like it is your responsibility to try to help, especially if you're aware of that. Support efforts to conserve and restore turtle habitats. So there's certain communities like the New York Turtle and Tortoise Society, the Turtle Conservatory, and those places focus on habitat conservation, captive breeding to restore population, prevent trade, and spread awareness of why turtles are so cool. Support local zoos and aquariums. What those institutions help with is captive breeding to restore populations as well. And what you can do is educate everyone about how important turtles are to our ecosystems and to the earth itself. Thank you so much. I hope you learned something about turtles. Here's my resources.